What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Powerstroke Tech Talk podcast. This is number 24, and we have some returning guests and a new guest here down at the bottom. His name is John. We have reached out to him, and he is a local TV and radio auto journalist. And he is going to sit and talk with us about trucks, about autos, about what we do with them and how they affect our lives, just power strokes, gas. We have it all coming here talking about it. John McElroy, Matt Roden, DS Trucks. We are all here live. And I want to start off letting everybody know, for those of you that cannot watch us on YouTube, make sure to check us out on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, TuneIn, and Podbean, so that you guys can all have fun with us and listen to Matt and DS bicker about oil. But John,
that is a thing.
welcome. Why don't you just kind of tell us briefly about who you are and how are you affecting the automotive industry? What do you contribute to the automotive world?
Yeah, well, first off, hi guys, great to have me on with you. This is going to be fun talking anything automotive. I've been covering the automotive industry for my entire career. What got me into it was I'm a hardcore car nut. I've been an enthusiast since I was a kid. Just love the machines, love driving fast, did some racing, amateur stuff, totally amateur stuff. But that's what got me interested in cars, and went to college, had no idea what I wanted to do getting out of it, but thought, it'd be cool to work for a car magazine. And that's what I really started to put all my efforts into it, and was able to do that. And then as I learned more about the automotive industry, it was like, damn, this thing is as interesting as the cars, and the people in it are really interesting. I mean, there's some real idiots too, some real jerks, but there's some really smart people in this industry, some really innovative, creative people. And so I've been excited to cover it, and, what's going on in the industry now, all this move to electrification and autonomy, and, who knows where it's all going to go is just unreal. But, the foundation of it all is the product. I mean, if you don't have a good product, the rest of the industry doesn't matter.
That's right.
So anyway, in a nutshell, that's you mentioned it. I do a television program. I do radio reports in the Detroit area. I've got a website, autoline.tv. That's where all my content really is. I got a really good crew. We do everything there on our website. We got a YouTube channel and the like too. So in a nutshell, that's what I do.
That's awesome. That's
pretty cool.
That's way cool. I think touching with just the automotive industry and people in it, this is also just a trade that we are passing on to the next generation, because just how you learned more about the automotive industry, it's how I learned from my mentor, and the reason why I got started with Fords and specifically diesels, and I pass that learnings on to another individual, and he is, so it's cool to see, that learning transpire into somebody else and keep this rolling. This is getting to be I don't want to say a lost trade, but that those old timers that knew the vehicles, and it's just so computery and all. I mean, you see all these trucks come in.
It's becoming more intimidating for the average Joe to turn a wrench.
Well, most definitely, you're not fixing these trucks at home, or even these new cars. There's no way.
Speaking of technology, and I really want your input on this, Aaron, the new VR headset that Mercedes came out with, I don't know, a couple months ago to aid technicians in diagnosing, and now Ford's jumping on board. Is that something you see yourself using, or you're just gonna? Nope,
I haven't even heard of anything like that.
you haven't.
No.
All right, so
There's gonna be VR for diagnosing
well, it's
boards.
gonna be altered reality, right? So
Really?
you're gonna have cameras. It's a little headset you're gonna wear. It's gonna
I
have
don't
cameras
think
on it.
I
and then
don't
it's
think
gonna
the
have a
Fords are.
display.
I don't think the Fords are that complicated yet. I
Oh,
mean,
dude.
Damn.
Well,
they're
think
getting
about
there, I
it.
guess.
That would
but
be next
if
level.
that's
the
like
way
100 years away, I would think.
Oh no.
The need of VR to diagnose a vehicle.
So the whole idea is that if you're in, you're talking with the technical assistance center or engineering or whoever, if they have a concern developing that they don't have anything out for, they can share that with you. And with altered reality and all the cameras on it, they can highlight it and be like, right there in that harness, that yellow and white wire is taking down this. They'll circle it for you, do whatever.
That's
Or,
cool,
Wow. No,
but that's
I've never
cool.
heard
But
of
it
that
seems
before.
like you could just like screen share and do that.
I mean, yeah, but the whole thing is that it's just gonna pop up like what would
It is cool.
be like an 8-inch tablet that you
Yeah,
can
it's cool.
basically see right through.
It seems
So-
like if you really had that, like how annoying would it be that you can't turn them off? Like what if you can't even turn them off?
I mean, it's like a last ditch effort, kind of like when you have a field
Okay,
service
yeah.
engineer come out. It's not
Like
like something
maybe
you're gonna
maybe
use.
maybe the shop just has one of them.
Yeah, because I think the headset is like $4,000, and then there's like a yearly subscription that the dealer has to pay. But a lot of the old heads are like, yeah, man, I don't like that. That's stupid. It's just another way for them to skin the tech. And
I got a
I'm
I got
over
a good
here.
I got a good point though. Aaron, there was a thing with my truck, a check engine light, whatever. We didn't even tell you yet, Matt. The wrench came up on my 450.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah.
It was something with the transmission, and it was a TSP.
Tell them what was the scenario that you were getting. You got the wrench light, the check engine light, and what was it doing?
It's something with these 10 speeds that I noticed when plowing snow. You put it in drive, and then it goes in drive a little bit hard. I've mentioned that on this show before. And then you put it in reverse, and it goes in reverse a little hard. And it's always done that. But it was a ton of snow, and I'm in 4-wheel drive. I'm going in between properties. And all of a sudden the wrench comes up, and I'm just going at like 35, 40 miles an hour in the snow. Wheels are spinning. Wrench comes up, and then after that, I get to the site. And then when I put it in drive, there's a delay before it actually shifts. And then it shifts even harder, a little bit harder, and then you put it in reverse, and there's a delay, and then it shifts hard. So it just did that. I tried turning it off, turning it back on. The wrench stayed around. It went away the next day. And then I took it into Aaron's shop. He scanned it. It had some code stored. The vehicle now was behaving normally, like it always does.
Shift
And,
solenoid F, or
Yeah.
it said 9. Or
Yeah,
no, the
it
code
said
had
something
F in it.
about the speed in ninth gear, or some kind of speed was improper in ninth gear or something.
But
Gear
there's
ratio-
a TSB for it, a
Yeah, I
TSB
was
and an
gonna say,
SSM for that.
We've
Something
seen
about the
that.
ratio in ninth gear.
We've
But
seen
I would
that
even
before.
wonder, like, how do they know what's going on with ninth gear? I wonder if like just spinning the tires in snow for that long, because it was like 8 inches of snow. I don't think so, but
I think, in my opinion, that these trucks, since obviously the 10-speed portion has come out, they've gotten some more real world use out of them, because I mean, yeah, we can simulate, the dudes in Dearborn with, weight on the back of the vehicles, or driving
dynos and all
up
that.
the gauntlet or whatever. But when you got Johnny Hoo-Ha over here driving his 450
In real conditions.
right, loaded to the gillies, now Ford is going to load these trucks up accordingly and make it to the vehicle
It can't
GVW
be reproduced in a lab.
yeah, and be it totally fair. But
Right.
you know damn well that's not what the average customer is doing. Don't get me wrong, Sean, myself, Ryan, anybody, we have enough know-how that we know that you don't want to have your lights pointing at the treetops. That's not how it works. But you got these dudes who do that. So now that we have these trucks being worked, and we're not saying yes has got an
Whoa.
issue, but we got things going on with these 10 speeds, and and there is a statement in the SSM that there's going to be a mid-March recal available. So if that's going to come out, there's going to be another TSB. I'm not going to say a recall. I would think maybe more TSB for vehicles saying if you have a 2020 and it's got 6.7 and it's got a 250, 350, 450 and exhibits this concern, reprogram the TCM and update, the trans shift strategy and learning, what have you. But I don't want to say right now that there's something wrong with this trans. Obviously, if there was something wrong with it, don't you agree, Sean, that it would have been messed up the next day? I mean, for it to
Yeah,
not be messed up.
it seems like when it's some kind of a safety mode where the line pressure got ramped up or something and why it's shifting hard. But hopefully it can be fixed with a program and not having to go in, and because it was either go in and do a valve body or do a reprogram. So if they can fix this without going in there,
No, the
more
valve
power
body
to
wouldn't.
them.
It's a programming issue.
John, have you had a privilege to drive any of the new Ford Super Duties, any of the
Not
newer
Super
Luma Duties?
Duties. I've driven the new F-150,
Oh,
various
okay.
models of
Ooh,
that.
21.
But
Okay.
yeah. Spent some time in that, probably last November. So they had us out to Romeo Proving Grounds to be able to drive them out there and in the area around that.
Did you
Able
film?
to do a lot of towing and stuff. I was impressed with the truck.
Now, did you have a gas version? Did you have hybrid or?
Had both. Did not have a chance to get into diesel. Was in the gas and the hybrid.
Oh, okay. I know we just got a couple of the power boosts, and I mean they're pretty sweet.
Yeah, I mean, people can say all they want about hybrids and, electric vehicles. I think they're awesome. And I'm
They look pretty
embracing the way
sweet.
that the industry is going, and the fact that those trucks look good and they look futuristic and they kind of fit the whole deal. I'm here to stay with it. I like it. So
Now-
if you don't, I don't know what to tell you.
Speaking of a good thing John brought up earlier about being in industry and talking about it going into electrification, if you want to make the best-selling truck in the world, the F-150, and you want to make it electric, awesome. You want to make our cars, cool. Our little sport utes, cool. Bronco, people may not want that right up first, but Super Duties, no. Super Duties are forever always going to have to be a fossil fuel. Super Duties are a work truck. We have
For
Dude,
technology
think
right
about
now, I
this.
think you're right. They can't make that battery stretch out as long as a
no
100-gallon tank of diesel can. But I
They
will say
can, though.
this:
They can.
eventually they will. I mean, eventually they'll have
unless they got some
Water.
alien technology that we don't
Right.
know about, and some sweet
You're-
batteries are about to come out in the next
But
couple of years.
here's a good point to that. There definitely needs to be a transition how they put this hybrid technology in the 150s. It definitely needs to hit the Super Duties, not because you can drive on electric, but to have that power output on a Super Duty where you could power, even if it came out at a power takeoff, because they
That's
do have
okay.
those kits available.
I could see
If
that.
you
That would
could
be pretty cool.
power job sites, and because a diesel engine is going to make way more electrical power than the F-150 platform, which makes like 7.2 kilowatts or something. I think, I don't know, double check that.
I think it's
For-
all kind of
But
subjective, but yeah.
but there's kits on the Super Duty that'll make 70 kilowatts.
Yeah, they
which
just
is-
drive it right off the PTO.
And what's the
Right off the
F-150
PTO.
making?
I think it makes 7.2, but you have to double check that out.
7.2, but that's off the traction motor.
Right. So
Mm.
that's the traction motor. Is it something between the engine and transmission? How do they do it, Matt?
Yeah, it's
the 150.
basically
In the bell housing?
Yeah, it's in between the torque converter and the pump.
What's interesting is there a pump in between there, or is it like a?
It's got to be
well,
like some
you've
special torque
got-
converter or something.
You've got torque converter, traction motor, and then your transmission pump. If I remember correctly, I don't have the
So that to
I
me
have the
sounds
workshop manual pulled up, but when
that sounds more complicated than just having like a power takeoff. Because if it's between
yes and no, because your converter's already, I mean, your input shaft's always spinning, right? The converter's always spinning. That stuff's always spinning. And then usually
for service
like,
purposes, but
yes and no. But
You'd be
I
driving,
know
you'd
it
have to be stationary, obviously.
for
Whatever he'd be talking, using the PTO.
well, no, you can put it in like split shaft mode, so you can run, you can run them up at certain RPMs and whatnot.
right. So you have to be stationary, but the PTO set up relatively.
I could see Ford doing a medium duty truck that's full electric that would be directed at your guys that are utility companies, right? They're not going very far. So they don't, I mean, those trucks usually don't get a lot of miles on them, or guys that are in like telecommunications.
If they're going to plug in every night, yeah.
Like we honest to God have a customer that has a fleet of probably 100 Super Duties, and we will do an EGR cooler on one of those trucks at least once a year.
Just from idling.
All they do is sit there and idle. They pull up to the towers and the truck just sits there and idles solely for the purpose of charging batteries for like power tools.
What kind of inverter are they running? Or is it like a PTO setup?
No, they're running inverters.
Yeah, like in the back boxes or whatever.
Yeah. Like a big boy inverter that runs off of the alternators.
But I don't, John, do you see it going that way? Do you not? I mean, do you dabble a lot with that or?
No, I follow the truck segment too, all the way up to the Class 8 semis.
Okay.
And what you guys are talking about is spot on. I mean, imagine being able to take any truck to a job and it's your generator. You're not hauling another generator in the back of the thing.
Right.
And, no one can go and steal it out of the back of your truck. It's built right into it. I think that's going to become more common. The problem with the hybrid F-150 right now is, man, it's pricey.
Right.
But,
it is definitely.
Wait until these things come off lease and stuff like that. Wait till they're 3 to 5 years into the market and they become a whole lot more affordable that way. And I think people are going to love having onboard generators.
I think that would be a good
peace
seller.
Of mind, knowing that you could have power, you lose power at home, you could tie it into the grid of your own property and have that peace of mind would be nice.
Well, that happened down in Texas. Big story about a guy who had the F-150 hybrid, plugged it into his house, ran his furnace, had TV, drinking coffee, had his neighbors come over to charge up their cell phones. I mean, this is all over the news. And then Jim Farley, the president of Ford, CEO, told all the Texas dealers, hey, get those, anyone with hybrids on your lot, get them out, start loaning them out to people.
Wow.
I thought it was a real smart move.
I wonder how many they loaned.
Yeah, good question. Good question. Probably not a whole lot.
Yeah.
Right. That's because I see these stories and I'm like, I want to see a number. If they're like, we loaned 2,000 F-150s.
I was really hoping I was going to like log into Ford on Monday morning and I was going to see they had like a immediate release. We've loaned out over 5,000 trucks and,
Did you check, Matt?
What? On
like Oasis or something? Can you do that?
I mean, I'll check on like FMC Dealer every morning just to see what, what's going on in Ford world. I was really hoping I was going to see something.
Let's err on the side of caution. They loaned a ton of trucks out. They loaned, it wasn't just publicity. They probably loaned a bunch of them out just because they're great. They're great guys over at Ford.
Yeah. You know what I'm really missing, and I think everybody here is going to agree, especially if you're in the Detroit region. In this greater Detroit, Chicagoland, Ohio, the Detroit International Auto Show. Where is the auto show? It is this whole COVID-19 has absolutely put a hamper damper on everything. And it's one thing that I remember going to when I was little. We'd get up and go on Saturday mornings, and it was an all-day event. Eat downtown, dinner, and didn't come home till it was dark. We really looked forward to it. And um, it kind of sucks. That we haven't been able to go, but it's like the first time that they actually made some changes over the
Some
whole
big changes, yeah.
30 years of having, or however long it's been, and we couldn't enjoy it. But I think once once it reopens, John, he can chime in. It's going to be outdoors and inside, just kind of. Didn't they say it was going to be like people can just roam just freely from inside to outside, just with the exhibits, whatever they were going to have on the, I don't know what they were talking about having on the outside, but they said it was just going to be a huge complex instead of it just being all housed in one building. But we couldn't enjoy it because of COVID-19.
Yeah, that's right. No, COVID, it's ruined a lot of things. It's ruined a lot of auto shows, not just in Detroit, all of them, in fact.
Yeah.
But yeah, so here's the thing. They're not going to do the Detroit Auto Show this year in downtown Detroit. They're moving it out to Pontiac, where there's a private motor club called the M1 Concourse, and they're going to call it Motorbella. And it's all going to be outdoors. It's, I think, the first week of October are the public days. And they want to bring a bunch of cars, bunch of stuff. Hopefully you have driving on the track that's there. There's a small racetrack there. But, next year they want to very much go back downtown Detroit.
Oh, man.
And then, like you were saying, Aaron, hopefully they do, right? And open it up to downtown. I mean, you got the whole riverfront there. It's a beautiful area. And, for people coming out of town, they've always come to Detroit in January. Well, geez, it's so damn cold and it's slushy. And so now they're going to be able to come to Detroit because next year it'll go back to June again. And it's going to look fantastic. And get people outdoors. They're going to bring in all kinds of music, all kinds of craft beers, food trucks, the whole 9 yards. Make it all right. Right on. Love the beer bottle there. And make it much more than just cars on a carpet. Try to turn it into a much bigger event with all kinds of entertainment, especially food and music.
I think that'll
bid pretty well with
man
people more my age, because everyone wants to go to like a music festival now. So you start on
and the
cars,
show.
and it's maybe they took some of that idea from Grid Life, and there seems to be a foodie boom and everything, but
hopefully things start opening up, in the
hope
year
so
from
too.
now.
Yeah, I think once things do open up, it's gonna just be pow right in the kisser, just full force. Everyone's gonna try to outdo everyone because it's me and Matt
might
the floodgates
hug.
of
once COVID's over, we'll just hug.
We're gonna
poor
have
fellows.
If you guys, put in the comments, however you communicate. If you want to see a pay-per-view boxing event between Sean and I,
I'm down. I'm down for that.
I'll probably get rocked, but
too funny.
I do want to say something though, because you were talking about that VR thing.
Yeah.
I want to be here's one technology. It's not as far out as the VR thing, but when that wrench popped up on my 450, I was thinking this one thing. All right, I don't have a scan tool. I loaned it out to somebody. I don't know where it's at, and it's probably not good enough. It was an Akron regular. It ain't ready for a diesel.
Regular jugular.
Did you just give Aaron? Aaron probably already has your VIN. Did you just have him punch your truck in PTS and it showed him everything?
No, I just went up there. I can do that. He can do it wirelessly or what?
Yeah.
Well, it does the vehicle health report.
Yeah, if you have MyPass, is that what it's called? If
Ford
you have
Pass,
telematics, if you have Ford Pass or telematics hooked up,
you can scan my vehicle from remotely.
Basically.
Well, next time we got to do it that way.
We've had this thing happen too, where customer, buys their truck, they go out, a couple weeks later, check engine light pops on, we get a call from Ford saying, hey, this person's going to be in. We need you guys to look at it. We already have an update for you guys.
So they know. So
we're gonna
Ford
send-
already knows
yeah.
that my old lady's check engine light for some emissions related thing has been on, and I have not addressed it. So they know I'm ignoring it.
Oh yeah.
And they're about
Dang,
to
I
tell
gotta
you how
get
to
that
fix it
fixed.
too.
Yeah, like we got a phone call.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Why can't they just tell me what the code is on the infotainment? Just tell me the code number.
That's a great idea.
You know what I mean? It's all this
gonna
technology.
Be all sorts of poking and prodding and
Yeah.
No, it's not
AutoZone had
necessarily,
a
though, 'cause-
sensor, so I put the AutoZone sensor in
But
it.
here's the thing. I can go to AutoZone, they'll pull a code. So why not just tell me the code? Why you're just telling me that you're not, you know, as well as everybody else here, just because you have the code doesn't mean necessarily that you can fix it.
True.
But why can't I just know? Why do I gotta look at a wrench? Why can't you just tell me if I want to know? Well, you
I
can
mean,
warn me. You can
yeah.
warn me. Warning. You should not.
I'm in the school of thought that sometimes information is too much of a headache.
Yeah, maybe true. Because then everyone knows what the code is and they think they know. It's
Oh,
better
yeah.
just to be a
sometimes you're
wrench.
better. Sometimes less is more. Just
technology
put the blinders on the owners and let us deal with it.
with these trucks and
Yeah.
and how all this stuff is now. I remember back when, you know, first starting off in the 2000s, you know, actually having to, I mean, not that you don't think now, but there's nothing was so computer based. It was, you know, a different way of diagnosing stuff.
Well,
And-
it's so complicated now. Like if it didn't have a computer, I wouldn't know what to do. Like if it was just a plain
Oh, yeah.
carbureted, I would be
mean,
like, I
can't
need a
talk to it.
computer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't
like
do
when
nothing.
when you think about it, it's almost hilarious that
You got to smell it.
This one sensor can take down an entire network in literally, like, the way to diagnose it is, oh, well, I got this code on this. Okay. All right. Let's look at the wiring diagram. Oh, that code's for, well, I'm just going to start unplugging stuff and see what happens. And usually that's, oh, okay, that sensor took down the whole network. And it's, even as, you know, advanced as stuff is, it's
Still,
kind of basic, but
yeah. It's not like the computer, when you scan it, it tells you the solution. You still got to
no,
like investigate.
no.
Just
And Aaron,
put it
you-
on the scope.
my favorite thing in, you know, their explanation for why we went to modules for everything is it's supposed to, multiplexing is so much quicker and it's supposed to cut down how many wires are run through a vehicle and the amount of wiring used
Oh
and
my
everything.
goodness.
So now we have like literally miles of wires that are the size of like a human hair.
Mm.
And that's supposed to cause less problems. You got to
John, do you think you
24 gauge
see
wire.
all these electronics getting to this point and this tech as where we are now? Like if you look back, you know, 30 years and you look now, like, do you remember looking back saying like, man, we're gonna, oh, wow.
Look, I remember Ford's first engine computer, the EEC,
Wow.
the electronic engine computer.
Back in the
And
Wild
I remember,
West.
I remember one of the engineers who worked on it told me, he says, you know, this has got 16K of memory. How are we ever going to use all that?
Oh man.
If only he knew now.
If only he knew now, right?
Oh my
And
goodness.
wanna know-
it's only going to get more complicated. It's going to get
Oh yeah.
even more than it is right now.
It's like, what's next?
I
You want
just
to know what's kind
I
of
remember-
funny, John? When we claim stuff for warranty, we still say EEC on it.
No kidding.
It's kind of funny, and they still claim it that way. So it's like, yes, performed EEC diagnostics.
Electronic.
I
engine
remember working on cars in the streets way back, 10 years ago, the Wild West deal, because there was a lot of cars on the road pre-96. So you had to ask, is that a 96 or a 95? Because if it's a 95, everybody had their own computer. Every manufacturer had its own computer platform. So you couldn't scan it. You'd have to ODB2 wasn't out until 96 where you could even use a scan tool. you had to figure it out without a scan tool. You'd have to count blinks and things like that, jump pins, count blinks. Like now everything's got to be universal in the United States, at least I think. I don't know if it's probably worldwide that you can
Yeah.
scan any vehicle.
It's like those protocols, those
OBD2 is just like a North American.
Is it North American only?
Yeah.
I don't know. What
Well,
do they plug in overseas?
They probably had to get on board just because of
They
cost.
use a 9-pin or a 14-pin over
So
there.
they got a different
In a
different plug
yeah,
over there.
in a circular connector, and theirs are usually located under the hood.
Wow.
But
I guess I've never had the opportunity to check that out. That'd be kind of weird. We have a computer program that we use at work to work on all these trucks. It's called IDS and FDRS. And it's a forward-based scan tool. We can use any laptop. We download the software from the site, and we have this little, red brick that allows us to communicate between the car and the computer. And I think over all the brands, because I've seen what Chrysler uses, I've seen what GM uses. I think Ford has the best diagnostic stuff. I mean, in the beginning, it wasn't, it was primitive, but now, I mean, it is. IDS is my favorite. I'm still learning FDRS, especially with these 2020s, because everything 2020 is now FDRS, but IDS is my go-to.
I'd probably have to agree with you on that. When I first started, dude, no, come on, camera, don't do this to me.
Oh, you're just frozen.
I'm
Don't
in
worry,
half again. I'm
Don't
frozen
worry,
in half
we
again.
can hear you. Just continue.
There you go.
There you go.
Two of me. There's one
I
very
love it.
concerned, glazed over me.
That's
and
so
there's-
funny.
There's me. No, when I was, at community college doing the auto program, kind of like the Tech 2 and GM stuff. But once I started using IDS, I was like, dude, this is so user friendly and it makes so much sense.
Was the Tech 2 web-based as well, or was it like?
Tech 2 was just like handheld.
Yeah.
It's like its own little thing, kind of like what was the old Ford one, Aaron?
PDS.
Or NGS.
But that was back then. Like, we don't know if GM, they might be web-based now too, probably.
I think they are. And then the Mopar ones, or FCA now, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
That's all. That's
I wonder if.
But it's all Bluetooth dongles, and then they have a router in the shop.
Oh wow!
And that just causes all sorts of problems. Like most stores I know, just it goes bad, throw it in the trash, get another one.
It's weird because I remember back in the day, I was so intimidated to even work on Fords because I was like, oh, Chevy, it's easy, it's simple. And then Ford was always, they had like more valves, but like lower quality electronics, I thought, in my opinion. You're talking 2002, 2003 was the kind of stuff I was working on. They had engines that were, okay, they had the most valves on paper. They weren't the push rod engines. They were the dual overhead cam engines. But then the electronics were way, way more basic.
Yeah. I mean, when I first started like really, doing engine work at the dealership, I was intimidated as all could be because it's chains and everything. And it's like, I don't like chains. I'd rather have gears and
yeah. My 99 Camaro was a push rod V6. I'm sorry, guys, this is V6, not a V8. Tough times, but it was like, okay, it's a cheap push rod design, the 3800, V6. Put it in everything, but the electronics were better than what was available from Ford in 99. You had drive-by-wire, you had a whatever. Every electronic was just easy to, it routed real nice. It was easy to service. There was tons of room under the hood, and it just made sense for a guy like me working on stuff. Limited money, limited tools. That was doable. Then you look at a Ford. I remember looking at a Ford Escape, like a 2005. I don't know. There's no room under the engine in the engine bay. You can't get to the alternator. You got to take the tires off, and something else is on the bottom. It's like, man. And then it's not drive-by-wire. It's a newer vehicle. It's not drive-by-wire. It's got a bunch of vacuum hoses and solenoids, but it's got this dual overhead cam engine. Like on paper, it's so advanced, but then like when you work on it, it's like, man, this is complicated. Not that may not be the case now. I don't know. When we got Ford's a company that takes a lot of risk. They have very complicated things, and sometimes maybe get a little bit of a bad rap just because they do take these risks. As far as like even the EcoBoost technology is very risky. It's a very complicated.
Dude, the thing that annoys me more is every time they come out with a new iteration of the Raptor, like when they came out with it in 2015, 2017, you can't put a V6 in a performance truck. And then they do the update for this year and they do it again. They're like, that's not a real truck. The TRX is so much better. Blah, blah, blah. It's like, will you guys just embrace change and like accept the fact that it makes more power than anything else in its class? And
that EcoBoost technology is so much fun. I imagine you guys know too, because you got those Focuses, but.
Well, dude, that's the thing is like, you can have, like, look at this way. You can have a naturally aspirated V8 that makes,
it doesn't compare,
350 horsepower, and that's all it's going to make. Or you get yourself a Raptor that makes 450 horsepower.
Well, here's the thing.
And that's what Ford is like. We'll put it there and it'll live there for a very long time.
Well, here's the thing. You could have a V8, a 5.0 that makes 400 horsepower, 400 foot-pounds of torque. I think that's roughly what they make. They may make a little more now. Or you could have a 3.5 EcoBoost or 2.7, but the 3.5 makes, at the one I had made 470 foot-pounds of torque and like 370 something like that horsepower. But it didn't compare. The V8 didn't compare because you had to have so much RPM in order to have power. You needed so much more RPM. The V6 made its power down low. You could use it all day, every day.
That's that snush.
But I mean,
extremely fun.
You can squeeze so much more power out of a turbocharged engine just because it's more fuel, more, you can advance time and whatever you want.
More fuel,
more boost, and you're off to the races.
And it's more velocity in the cylinders.
Well, yeah, it's like John and I, with our little EcoBoost powered 4-bangers, all we have to do is get a tune for it, and we can just one-wheel peel the thing for miles if we want.
Yeah, and if you're going to compete with a company like GM that has a great V8 platform, you need to come with something more than just a 5.0 because they're bringing all this power with a pushrod V8, and that engine is great. It makes good power down low and everything. It's cheaper to build.
I mean, so I want your opinion, John. Would you say Ford's kind of an innovator in the American markets as far as engine technology and whatnot?
It depends what you're talking about. I mean, they all got their strong points. What GM has done with pushrod engines, pushrod V8s, is amazing. Corvette's still got a pushrod engine in it. Everybody else in the world has gone overhead cam, but like you guys were talking about, you go dual overhead cam, the heads are massive. They take up so much space. Look how low the front end of, well, not the C8 Corvette, because the engine's in the rear, but if you look at a C7 and the earlier ones from that, look how low that hood is. There's a V8 under that thing. So they've done a great job with that. But I totally agree with you guys. When it comes to turbo engines, it's look, the torque comes on at so much lower RPM. I think, Sean, you said that. And that's the beauty of supercharging or turbocharging, or some that combine both supercharging and turbocharging.
That's the benefit too of pushrod, because they have some good low end power. Still doesn't compare to a turbo, but they're good low, a little bit better low. But the variable valve timing helps. But they're bigger. They're just bigger. I don't know if you can have that same hood in the Corvette without a pushrod engine, a pushrod V8.
No, dude, the biggest trip for me is once that 7.3 came out and we're looking in the engine bay, and we're like, oh, it's a cute little engine. Even
Looks
though
like
it's
my
a
LS.
it's like even though
It's
it's
smart.
a
It's a smart thing
7.3
to do.
liter V8, it just looks tiny, even compared to like, you know, a 5 liter or, you know, the 6.8 that used to be in there. It's just packaging wise, it's so much smarter and, you know, almost reliability, but
John,
it's hard to say.
out of all of your experience, old to current, problems to no problems, what are your top 3 car manufacturers? What's your favorite go-to top 3 car
man,
manufacturers?
that you know, that's funny. No one has ever asked me that. They always ask me, what's the top 3 cars or what's the best car or something like that. No one's asked what's the best car companies. You know, they have their ups and downs. You know, right now, General Motors is doing so much, so right. Ford, I didn't like their last CEO, and he got them off in this crazy stuff. I never understood his vision. I do like Jim Farley. I think he's getting it really focused on what they've got to do. Now, the guy that I didn't like too much, Jim Hackett, he did do some good things. I mean, stuff like the Bronco Sport and the Bronco started under him. The Mustang Mach-E, you know, they've got a little pickup truck coming out at the end of this year called the Maverick. I'm sure you guys know about that too.
Oh, yeah.
And so, you know, by the end of this year, Ford's going to look a whole lot better than it does right now. And when I say, you know, when I evaluate a company, I'm looking at, you know, it from a total business standpoint. Are they growing their revenue? No, Ford's not. Are they making money? No, they just lost a whole bunch. So, you know, they had to clean out a lot of baggage. They're doing that. But right now in the US, I'd say GM is in the lead right now on a lot of things. I got to tell you, I'm really impressed by Tesla too. I mean, I look at Tesla 2 different ways. I think they've got these amazing cars and this company that I don't know if the company's going to make it, but they've done some really interesting stuff technologically.
They changed the whole industry.
They really did. They really did. And you got to give them credit for that. And it'll be interesting to see how this Cybertruck does from a sales standpoint. You know, that could shake up the truck market.
I
but
just don't see it happening.
I think Elon Musk makes so many crazy promises, and then he doesn't do. Like his goals are just so lofty. Where he ends up is down, and it's a little bit lower than what his goals are, but they're so lofty. He tries to reach them or whatever, but where he lands, is still good. Even though he doesn't. I mean, where is our Cybertruck? Where is our high performance Roadster? Like. He's just like, I'm going to take orders. I'm taking orders.
Well, I mean,
a bullet. Someone
asked.
I think, no, I was watching Joe Rogan and Elon was on there. He's like, why did you make it bulletproof? Because it'd be cool. Like, this guy's running a company.
Because it'd be cool.
He's running a company saying, oh, it'd be cool to make it bulletproof. He's like, yeah, but no one's shooting at the vehicle. Why would you go through the trouble?
I think for Tesla, that's like part of the appeal is it's Elon, and people are like, well, if Elon does, I could get one of those. It's kind of cool.
It's just I don't know, just looking at Elon Musk and just seeing that if you set your goal that high and go for it, you might end up somewhere all right, I guess. You might not reach your goal, but he's trying to go to Mars. He might not make it to Mars, but hey, he'll make it out there somewhere. You know, I don't know.
John, do you see us totally going away from fossil fuel? Do you really think, maybe in our lifetime, but do you think like we're not going to be dependent on fossil fuel?
Well,
I think long term, but you know, the piston engine's going to be around by the middle of the century. You know, I don't think it's going to disappear, especially like you were talking in heavy duty. You know, when you got a tow heavy loads, when you got big payloads to haul around, when you got to go long distances, really hard to beat the diesel engine right now. Now, having said that, if you want to talk short routes, like you guys were talking utility trucks, post office trucks. When you look at a lot of delivery operations that make a lot of stops, but they don't actually put on a whole lot of miles all day long. And they go back to a yard every night where they can be recharged or
Home
whatever.
base. Yep.
I mean, look, electric, you're going to see a lot of fleets looking really seriously at electric. No oil changes, no tune-ups, your brakes last longer, because with regenerative braking, you don't wear down the pads as fast. So when you look from a total ownership, and electricity, it's way cheaper than gasoline. So when you put the whole package together, yeah, right now, at least you pay more upfront for that electric. But the total cost of ownership over a 3 to 5 year period is going to be cheaper.
I think it'd be really good for electric vehicles to come into our market, intertwine with what we're doing now, and compete with fuel. And it'll make fuel cheaper. And for electric to be cheaper, you need fuel to compete against it. You can't make everything, like you can't just force it all to be electric, because then electric's going to be expensive. So I think the idea of getting off of fossil fuels is a great idea, and it might be the right idea, but you have to really look at the big picture. Every single product that we have, that we use, even the electric vehicle itself, technically is a fossil fuel product. And we have this point of like homeostasis where we burn fossil fuels. Yeah, but that's not the only thing we do with fossil fuels. We also make like nylon or we make all these synthetic materials that weren't here before. They're all byproducts of fossil fuels. So even if we could eliminate fuel, we still will have fuel. It's still going to be somewhere, because I don't know if you can make all these products when you get this oil or these products from the ground. You don't get just what you want. You get the whole product, and then you break it down and you make everything. The lubricants, the synthetic oil actually comes from fossil fuels. They don't actually just make oil. They refine conventional oils to the point where they're considered synthetic oils. All this stuff comes from fossil fuels. So if we could eliminate all of the gasoline and diesel, that's going to save the environment in theory. But where are you going to get all the other products from?
Yeah.
But, Aaron, going back to your point there, the average truck and car in the U.S. right now is over 11 years old. And if you look at how long it takes to turn all the cars that are out there, turn them over, it takes 20 years. So a brand new 2021, whatever it is, rolling off the assembly line now, not going to really go to the scrapyard in many cases until 2041.
Unless they do cash for clunkers.
Yeah, but cash for clunkers only took a very small number of vehicles. In terms of the total number that's out there, there's about 280 million vehicles in the US. Takes a long time. So that's why it's easy to predict the piston engine is going to be around a long time, because it's not going to be gone by 2025. It's not going to be gone by 2030. Well, guess what? By 2030, I'm going to tell you, the cars and trucks that are built in 2030 are not coming out until 2050. So when you start looking at it that way, you recognize, we're going to go electric long term. It's going that way. But the piston engine is going to be around for decades. It's an easy prediction.
Well, it's weird how the future is. Like, it's hard to just predict the future based on what technology we have right now, because we could be thinking, electric in 30 years will take over, but there could be something totally different. There could be a whole nother solution that comes around that's just totally unexpected.
Let's say they, excuse me. Let's say they're going to make, they got a hybrid F-150. Let's say they incorporated that technology into my favorite truck, the Super Duty. So now we have a flagship truck with a diesel, and now it's going to have the same sort of capabilities as the F-150. So if we had, I don't know, I guess what I want to say, ju- like the Super Duty, comparing that to the F-150, if we had a different way to like market it, not market it, but like you're taking it to a job site, like John was saying, you don't want to haul in another freaking generator with you and all this other gear. Like you got your tool, you're driving. Like, do we want that?
I think that's just going to be a case of you don't realize how much you needed something until you have it. Or like, wow, this really does make
Yeah.
a lot more sense. And it kind of goes with, you know, we're seeing all these school buses now with propane engines that use a Ford powertrain. And dude, I look around, they're everywhere now, and the entire school bus industry is shifting to that now because they're like, well, you know what? It does make a lot more sense. Diesels are expensive as heck to buy and maintain, and you just start looking at the advantages.
Well,
it's just the way
maybe
it goes.
it's going to be a death of the diesel engine in the heavy duty platform, because if you look at going hybrid diesel, it gets real squirrely because it's real expensive to do a diesel engine, and then it's expensive to do a hybrid. So diesel hybrid, you got all this torque. You don't need another power adder to go along with the diesel engine. So maybe it would be just the fact of it that it being a Super Duty makes it a harder question, because maybe it'll be a high output gasoline engine with a generator. I don't know.
What do you think a choo-choo train is? Big diesel generator.
The thing is though,
Well,
once you get with hybrids, is you don't need high output. That is your high output now.
Well, it would have to be like, it could potentially be a situation where the diesel doesn't turn the wheels and it just generates electricity like a train, where it just charges or generates electricity and it doesn't actually have a transmission and direct power to the wheels. There's just a big enough electric motor. I don't know. But
I mean, I wouldn't.
But the issue with the diesel is the emissions. It's okay.
100%.
You want to have a hybrid with diesel emissions with it's a little bit, it could be a way, because a lot of people are getting away from the diesel engines because they're just irritated by the emissions and all that. So it's probably like emission system on a vehicle is probably as expensive as a cheap engine, or it could be, I wouldn't be surprised if that system is as expensive as a hybrid system or close to, just all the different emission components.
When I think back to from me growing up in the business, when the 2005 Ford Escape came out and its technology for being a hybrid, when I look back now to then, and I just drove a Mach E. Matt knows what I'm talking about. John, I don't know if you've driven a Mach E yet.
Yeah, no, I've driven it extensively.
I
That's a good car.
cannot believe. Now I'm a sucker for my diesels. Don't get me wrong. But working on hybrids as well and electric vehicles, I cannot believe the technology from then to now. Like you would take off and you'd go like 1,000 feet in hybrid mode, and then the gas engine would kick on. I was like, oh man, that kind of sucked. And then they got better, and then the C-Max came out, and then it's like, oh man, I drive like 90 miles, and the engine didn't even turn on. And now we got this thing. I don't know.
How was that?
It was pretty sweet, man.
Dude,
was it fast?
I didn't get to drive it on the road. I just went around our building, but
I've taken them out on the road, and
it's pretty sweet.
John will agree with me. Like, I don't know if they ruined the Mustang name with it by doing it. I personally don't think they did. I think
because
someone
that
that's
good of a
older,
car, huh?
I think someone that's older than me that, like, grew up, like, we'll say my dad, for an example.
I
The
felt
Mustang
like that
came out when he was a kid, and he's like, that's not a Mustang. And I'm like,
I definitely felt like
once-
that when they announced it. Like, did they ruin this? And it
once
was a
he
big
gets
issue.
back in town, I'm gonna chuck him in one of those, and I'm gonna put it in unbridled mode, and I'm gonna put my foot to the floor, and he's going to be like, okay, yeah, that's a Mustang.
So they didn't. So is that good? Is that fun and all that?
Oh, dude, they're awesome. And I think what's happening with the automotive industry, or a lot of things now, it's a classic case of, the mailman thinking, well, what am I going to do now that email came out? Like, am I just, out of a job? But it's just an adaptation that people kind of have to get used to, that it's a little different for now, but once you start, playing around with it, getting used to it.
Yeah, but I got a question for you guys. What do you think about these over-the-air updates? Because the new F-150
money grab
allows it.
Money grab.
The Mach-E can be done it.
You know what I think? I think they're like taking cues from an industry trendsetter like Tesla, because they're coming in here and it's kind of like Elon's overarching goal to introduce these electric vehicles, not to prevent other companies from doing it, because he actually wants them to do it because he wants to change the world. And he's definitely doing that. And you look at over-the-air updates and a lot of other things that they're doing. Yeah, it's a way. Ford's not going to do a lot of these updates for free, I don't think.
When I think over-the-air updates,
they're going to charge.
I think cybersecurity.
I was kind of thinking the same thing, but
and it really, I don't want to say it worries me, but like, if we have to have all this mumbo jumbo and advance and Norton security and all this, like, our cars don't have a firewall. I'm not running an antivirus.
Hold on.
My AP.
Hold on. I don't mean to cut you off, but think about how hard it is and how encrypted all these systems are, that it takes people sometimes years to crack the tuning on them. Now, I already know what you're going to say, but I think to use it for the purposes of like someone to go in there and plant a back door to go in and screw with your truck while you're driving it, I'm sure it's a possibility, but they wouldn't do that without thinking about that.
Aaron's
wrong
worried
there?
about it. Matt's not. So will there be a vehicle that's like bare bones, or maybe you keep an old Ford F-150 like a 98 just because you want something that can't be tracked and can't be hacked, and just even though it probably won't, you know what I mean?
I'll put it this way, Aaron. Would you rather sit there and flick that key on and off like 20 times for 40 minutes? Or would you rather the customer just does it on their own? Because I'm looking at it in the sense of updates for the dealer are a giant waste of time.
It is, but you know what?
Yeah.
Somebody is going to take advantage of that, and it's only going to be a matter of time.
You know what, though, Aaron? I wouldn't worry about that.
I'm not, but it's something. If our cars are going to be connected to the internet, which they already are, and if they're going to keep getting integrated, there's going to have to be some sort of barrier or something. I know Ryan was talking about the Teslas running beta software, and it's on the cars that they have currently on the road. But if that were somehow to get,
do you think
somebody's going to hack something?
Do you
and
think
it's not going to be good?
Do you think it's a matter of national security?
Well,
yes, it is. Yeah. Absolutely it is. And so, Aaron, you're absolutely right to worry about it. And I tell you, it's one of the number one issues in the automotive industry right now. And there is a tremendous amount of research and development and all kinds of work. We got the example of Tesla. They've been doing over-the-air updates for a decade now. They've never been hacked, but man, they spend a lot of effort to make sure that they never get hacked. I'll give you one example. They borrowed this from the computer industry. They have a bounty program, and they invite hackers to attack their system, both the corporate computers and their cars.
Wow.
And if you're able to get in and hack it and find a vulnerability and let Tesla know, they'll pay you a cash reward. You can earn up to $10,000 for finding a bug in their system. So now everybody else is starting to do that sort of thing. And the industry has formed what they call an ISAC, which is Information Sharing and Assessment Center. And it's where car companies, suppliers, the military's involved, because it is a national defense issue. What if somebody's able to hack into cars? I'll give you an example that was told to me on the 405 highway outside of Los Angeles, and you just brick every car. You would make the entire economy of LA crash that day. Now imagine doing that around the country. So it's an issue. It's a national security issue.
Yeah,
That's
I would
scary.
think it's more of a national security because it'd be like someone would have to want to attack like the whole country because why would I think of it like why would anybody particularly want to hack my car? Maybe somebody even want to hack all the cars, but why my car? They don't.
Not
Well-
yours particular, but it's the same
But yeah,
reason why
every
we
car,
got guys going to the Chrysler dealerships, and in a matter of seconds, they're manifesting another program key. Just
What if a guy can like pull up to your driveway, whip out his laptop, and then drive your car away because he can like tie into your server?
That's next level. That's next level. If you can get in the car, there's nothing stopping you from driving away. All these cars got electric power steering, got electric. Well, sometimes electric's not your friend. So, I mean, yeah, that's definitely
What
something to be concerned
vehicle?
about. Shoot.
What vehicle came out from Ford where they were? I think it might have been the Mustang, the new Mach E Mustang, where they were like, "Oh, we're taking orders." And you could reserve. Was it the Bronco where they were like, "Oh, you could put $100 down"?
That's like all. I think every manufacturer is doing that now because they see such a great benefit.
Yeah,
to it.
it's like they saw what Tesla's doing, and they're like, "Whoa, why aren't we doing that?" They're like, "Let's take pre-orders on cars, but they at least deliver on the car." Like, Tesla, where's our cars that you promised?
John, you said out of the brands that you dig, Tesla being one of them. Now we have another player in the game, Mach E. So, like, which one? Which one?
You have the electric F-150 coming too.
Yeah, Mach-E is really good. I really enjoyed driving the car a lot. I think it's going to sell pretty well. But is it going to create the buzz in the market like Tesla has done? I mean, people all over the world are crazy about Tesla. Crazy. I like the cars. I'm not that crazy about it. But I think the Mach-E will do well for Ford, but it's just a first step. They still, if you want to look at total efficiency, how many miles you get per kilowatt hour in the battery and stuff like that, how much over-the-air updates you can do and stuff like that. Ford caught up a lot, but they haven't caught up all the way to where Tesla is.
They've still got a lot of ground to make up in that respect, but I do really enjoy the push from a lot of companies. Like we've got Rivian is supposed to debut or start delivering their trucks here pretty soon, and does anyone know what Nikola is doing way over in left field? Or I don't know, John, have you heard anything from the Nikola,
Oh yeah, no, I had their crazy founder on my show, Trevor Milton.
Oh wow.
And that was a hoot of a show. But yeah, look, Nikola's got their business plan is actually pretty good. They're still going forward. They just had some announcement today or yesterday of the progress that they're making with their fuel cell trucks. I mean, this is a shot in the dark, but it's a pretty interesting one. And they've got some pretty serious companies lined up behind them. Even though the founder turned out to be a flake, he actually had some pretty good ideas and he had some pretty good people working for him. They're still there. And so they're still making progress.
Yeah, I mean, for the sake of the technology that they're trying to get out into the market, I really want it to succeed. But it's just their shortcomings, or I want it to happen, but I'm not sure if I see it happening. And I'm hoping something comes out of it. But I guess we'll just have to see what happens.
I just don't want my diesels to go away.
Well,
Of a pain in the butt they are to me sometimes, and all of us around.
Well, you're over there thinking to yourself, you're like, I finally bought one, and now it's gonna go away.
Well, here's an interesting point. The high output Tesla, I think is like the best dual engine all-wheel drive. I think it's like P100D or something like that. The biggest, baddest one. When you look at the power output of that, the torque, it rivals the 6.7. Like both engines combined, when you put all the throttle, I don't know what you call it. It wouldn't be a gas pedal, but it wouldn't even be a throttle. It would be the accelerator.
Pour the beans.
Step on the accelerator.
Mat that thing to the carpet.
That thing is so fast, it hurts. Like when you go the full speed, it hurts. It makes
feel your guts still move.
Yeah.
A big shortcoming with electric vehicles now is how much power you lose when you put it in a performance mode. Like we put a Mach E 4EX or 4X, the higher kilowatt hour one, in unbridled mode, and just matted it. And it's not like you watch your range go down by single digits. It's like you just lost like 10% of your your range just from just putting your foot to the floor for 10 seconds, which hopefully I shouldn't say hopefully, technology will catch up with that.
Most definitely.
It's just something to like remember, like, yeah, you can get the P100 or 110D, whichever one you're on, but if you're driving around like that all the time, you don't have your full range. So it'll be interesting to see how they decide to go about that.
Well, it's interesting to think that the high output Tesla has a similar amount of torque as a 6.7 Powerstroke. But think about
I think it's got more.
It might even have more right now. Yeah,
it does.
Because it's been a couple years since I've looked into it. But
that's just electric motors. It has in more general
torque. But it's like if that system was in a heavy duty truck, you literally would have less weight limitations. I mean, a diesel engine's an extra 800 pounds, so you have way fewer weight limitations in a heavy duty truck.
You have to think the power something the size of a medium duty truck, you're going to need a very large battery pack. And I think, John, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong on this. Tesla recently came out with their numbers for the they call it semi, right? For their electric truck. And I think it came way over what they were expecting it to be, just because the weight of the battery pack.
The weight of the semi?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they put out any official numbers yet, but look, batteries are heavy. There's no question about it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, engine, transmission, differential, exhaust, that's heavy too. But batteries are heavy, man. Now the thing is, they're not outrageously more heavy. What a Mach E is, 4,600 pounds or something like that.
That's
not crazy.
Considering their size, they're a stout vehicle.
Right. And Sean, I got to tell you, I drove a P100D Tesla Model X, put it in ludicrous mode, and it is the fastest I have ever accelerated in my life. I've been in race cars. I've been in a dragster. I have never accelerated that. It doesn't just push you back into the seat. It pushes all the blood to the back of your head.
Wow.
Dude, those things
I'm not exaggerating it. So,
awesome.
so this, and I timed it 2.9 seconds, 0 to 60.
Ooh.
This is in a 5-seater family SUV. And they're coming out with the plaid version of the Model S, and they're saying 0 to 60, 1.9 seconds.
That is absolutely insane. Now, see, like, I wonder with that let's just take that whole car, let's beef it up a little bit, let's beef up the engines a little bit, let's take that battery, let's put it all in a Super Duty, and I'm sure there's going to be enough payload available for like a 4-cylinder generator or a 3-cylinder generator, just to make it so we can go some long trips, gas or diesel, whatever. Maybe gas because it's cheaper. There's your hybrid. There's your hybrid Super Duty right there.
Oof, we're talking about some good stuff, man. I hope anybody out there in Ford land would be listening, because we got some.
Need to give your boy a promotion.
Shoot, Jim
Which one?
Farley, I reached out to you.
Which one? Me or the one that's scared of electric vehicles?
No, me.
Oh,
I'm there too. I'm at Ford too, bro.
Sean's going to be Ford Motor Company's new oil consultant.
He is going to be the petroleum transfer engineer.
I'm definitely going to make synthetic the go-to. the OEM spec for everything.
All right, we gotta ask you because you're here, John. Are you running synthetic in all your vehicles?
No. Maybe I better reconsider.
We talk about it frequently here on the show.
It's a
You
hot
guys
topic.
like synthetic, huh?
Yeah, we like talking about
I'm-
all that.
I mean, if
I
I'm not-
run synthetic and everything, but
once
you know,
the price comes down, I'll run full synthetic in everything I own. But until then, I can't justify it. Not with how frequent we're changing oil on things.
you got a point. Like, okay, if price is your main concern, if you put conventional or whatever the minimal spec is, the engine's probably gonna be all right.
At least you're putting oil
It's gonna be
in.
okay. Yeah, it's gonna be
Yeah.
all right. It's gonna last.
Oh my
its term.
goodness.
I mean, I will say we've got a 500,000-mile Transit in right now, and obviously that runs full synthetic. So I can't sit here and say, don't run synthetic. We've also had, million-mile 7.3s that run just good old 1540. So
Well, modern
That's what's up.
technologies made engines last a lot longer in its own.
but
So
that 7.3 from 2001 made it 1,000,000 miles.
it's pretty modern.
That's what's up.
Yeah, I guess you could say it is.
That's what's up.
It is what's up.
I think this would be a great time to end this podcast, oil talking and all. We want to thank John so much for joining with us today. You guys can check him out, his website, autoline.tv, and see what he's all about. And we'll put a link to my email up here or below. And if you want to get on the podcast, make sure to email me. We'll get you in the queue. We got a lot of guys filled up, and we just sit and talk what's important to us about our trucks and what's going on here in the automotive world around us. So thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you guys all next time.
Oh, yeah.